Fed Chair Jerome Powell taking the hot seat today in front of Congress after refusing to cut interest rates. American workers seeing one of the strongest paydays in 6 decades, and the president's strategic America First energy solution as the conflict in the Middle East continues. A few of the money headlines this morning we want to discuss with former Trump White House economic advisor Steve Moore. Good morning to you. A lot to talk about this morning. Let's start first, though, with Jerome Powell set to testify today. Why won't he cut interest rates? What's going on here? Good morning to you.
Well, there's no love lost, as you know, Jan, between Donald Trump and Jerome Powell. They've been kind of adversaries now for many years, and Trump is upset that Jerome Powell did not lower interest rates at the last Fed meeting, which I think was about a week ago. And a lot of people are confused by that decision, Jim, because the Fed did lower rates. You may recall in the month before the election, a lot of people thought that was kind of election interference to pump more money into the economy to help Kamala Harris. And yet now he won't lower rates, even though inflation is lower today than it was the last time they lowered rates. So I think Jerome Powell is going to have to answer that question. Is he being political here, or what is the reason that he is not lowering rates? A lot of economists believe we could do 1 or 2 or even 3 rate cuts before the end of the year.
Well, and he also said at the same time he's going to try 2 rate cuts before the end of the year. But everyone's wondering why not having one of those right now. Markets rallied after word of a ceasefire, but now Trump is saying, look, he's frustrated. Israel, Iran, he says they both violated the terms. What's your take on everything that's happened the past few days?
Yeah, well, I'm shocked by this. Usually when we have turmoil in the Middle East, and this has been going on, 50 or 60 years now, when you have that kind of turmoil, it hurts markets usually. And usually you also see a big spike in the oil price, because obviously the Middle East is a huge area for oil production. And yet we're seeing the opposite in the last couple of days, where the oil price has actually fallen. The stock market, I mean, my gosh, it surged yesterday. I think that Wall Street believes that this will have a happy ending, that Trump will win here, that we will disarm the Iranians and take away their nuclear ambitions. And that's a positive thing for the world. It's a positive thing for our financial markets. So far, so good. But that could change at any minute. I mean, just in the last hour or so, there was new news that, the fighting has continued, and the rockets may start being fired both directions again. So we have to watch it closely. But so far, it looks like Trump has really scored quite a big win here.
Yeah, and I want to also talk about, the oil prices, because I think it goes back to, what Trump has done to get ready for something like this. He reversed a lot of Biden's energy policies. We know Biden drained the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and Trump has come back in and said, drill, baby, drill, right? So a lot of that played out this weekend when we saw Iran's parliament voted to close the Strait of Hormuz, where global oil prices were of concern and, of course, supply of concern. But here in the States, a lot of energy analysts were saying just the opposite. It wasn't going to affect us as much as it would have the global stage. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so since I met Donald Trump 9 years ago, he's always talked about making America not just energy independent, which essentially we are today, but also an energy dominant force in the world. And we're well on the way towards doing that. This is the sort of drill baby drill strategy. And it makes sense from an economic standpoint, because the less oil we have to import from other countries, the stronger we are. But also it's a huge area where we could actually be exporting oil and natural gas, which we do. And I think the Trump strategy has worked here, because we're inoculated from a lot of the turmoil that happens in the Middle East or in Russia and other countries. That's a good thing for American workers, the American economy, and for our national security.
And also, how much is inflation dependent on energy prices, right? So we saw energy prices skyrocket during the Biden administration as a result of this depletion of the petroleum reserve. And then look, we are now starting to see kind of the opposite effect, because we're not so reliant on other countries for oil.
Well, you get an A in economics today, Jan. You're exactly right. You've got to, because when you think about it, oil and energy is integral in everything that we produce. The food that we eat, the manufacturing they do, everything involves energy. If you lower the price of energy, you've got the story exactly right. You put downward pressure on all prices. So that's a very happy picture.
Yeah, and you also tweeted Trump has become this big champion of the working class, blue collar workers, seeing a pay boom that's the strongest in 60 years. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said no other president's done that before. How did Trump do this in his first 5 months?
Mostly by driving down the inflation rate. So when inflation goes down, people's real income and purchasing power goes up. So we're now at about 2 to 2.5% inflation. Remember, in the Biden years, we were looking at 4, 5, 6% inflation. So that's been a good thing, and we're creating a lot of jobs in America right now. If we can get this big, beautiful bill done, and I don't know if 4th of July is going to be a target that can be met, but I think that will be met with a lot of sighs of relief that we're not facing a big tax increase. So I'm pretty bullish right now on the U.S. economy. I think all signs are pretty much headed in the right direction. You never know what's going to happen with the economy. Right now, I'm feeling pretty bullish, and so are most Americans because they're buying stocks, not selling them.
That's right. Very quickly, Senate Majority Leader John Thune said he's going to keep senators there until they figure this thing out. So they might not take a recess unless they get this bill done. So you're hopeful. You think the GOP is going to get it done?
That would be quite a 4th of July if Donald Trump was signing one of the biggest tax cuts in American history. I think that would bring a smile to a lot of them. And then you can set off the fireworks.
All right. You think it's going to get done then? You think the Senate's going to get it done?
Ooh, I'm a little skeptical because, I always say Congress is like, a high school student. They always wait till the last minute to get things done.
It's procrastinators. All right. Former White House economic advisor Steve Moore. So good to see you. I know you're going on vacation soon, so we won't see you for a couple of weeks, but enjoy. Be safe.
Take care. Thank you.